Have you ever done a crushed ice race? It's a kind of competition which involves downhill skating at an ice track in full speed with bends and curves and even a rock drop. No? I did. Have you ever climbed a 625-meter dam? No? I did as well. This is what it looked like.
What happens when a woman competes against a man? What are her chances? In Beat Me If You Can, our female host accepts challenges from male celebrities in the contests of their choice. Can she overcome her fear and formation skydive from 4,000 meters, free falling at 180 kilometers per hour? Can she beat the man at the National Kayak Championship in Greenland? The host is a 42-year-old mum who intends to beat these men at their own game. They both get 4 weeks to prepare. She is assisted by a physical and a mental coach. She accepts every challenge, no matter how tough. Who will win the European Lumberjack Championship? Who will be first across the finishing line in the world's fastest speed skating race? First, she has to overcome herself. But how many men can she beat? Can she win the world's toughest obstacle race? Can she beat a man at the Bangerstocks World Cup? Who can climb the world's tallest climbing wall fastest? Who will win, the female host or the men? Beat Me If You Can.
This is a television show I made for VRT, Belgian broadcast, a couple of years ago. As you can see, I've never shied away from an extreme challenge, from climbing on a dam to highlining between 2 rocks, whitewater kayaking, snow kiting. I even cycled for 3 days in a sultry desert. Yes, I went through it all, and seriously, I had to come out of my comfort zone. You can compare me with G.I. Jane, but then with hair extensions. But it was not as easy as you think, because I agreed to doing things that I didn't like at all. During most of the competitions, I felt a lot of resistance, and often I was really scared. I had to do things that I didn't like at all. So I was often afraid. I don't like heights. I'm not a big fan of speed, and I even don't like to hurt myself. I even said to my team I would never, ever jump out of a plane, and yet eventually I did that too. That says a lot about my persuasiveness, doesn't it? So to make this program, I really had to push myself. And I didn't have any choice, because I came up with the idea myself. Yes, the concept of the program was mine. But full disclosure, up until then, I really didn't know how to push my boundaries and go deep. I had done everything from a comfortable situation. But while making this program, I learned to challenge myself physically, but also mentally. I discovered what it was to go out of my comfort zone, and I even learned to survive and thrive. Overcoming challenges gives you a boost, but it's also a learning process, because you discover new insights, perspectives, and approaches. So pushing yourself and coming out of your comfort zone is the best gift you can give yourself, because that's getting out of your comfort zone. So outside of your comfort zone is where the magic happens. Life really does start at the end of your comfort zone, because that's the first step to growth and development. Who doesn't want to grow in their life? So, believe me, let go of control, and your life will change for the best. Am I telling you, go jump out of the plane tomorrow? No, of course not, because that's for idiots. But pushing yourself every now and then can do wonders. This is the magic, the miracles I speak of. Let me explain. I've always been very sporty in my life. Horse riding, running, cycling, CrossFit, I can do it all. but I always put the brakes on while exercising. I never gave myself a strong stimulus. And without those stimuli, you don't make progression. This was a lesson I learned during one of the first training sessions of the show. I had to complete an obstacle run, one on a military training ground. So as you can imagine, this is not for softies. And I remembered my coach said to me, complete the obstacle run as quick as possible, don't hold back, and push yourself to your limits. You can even throw up at the end if you want to. So this was the first time I experienced what it was to really go above and beyond and squeeze everything I had out of my body. I crossed the finish line completely broken. And you probably, I don't probably have to say what happened then. Yes, I had to throw up. But it was then that I figured it out. You only get better if you stop playing small. You grow by stretching yourself until it hurts and then pushing it even through. The pain will take you exactly where you need to go, because that's meaning getting out of your comfort zone. Hurt yourself a little, recognize, identifying the pain, and then push through it. This also applies to the things that scare you, like downhill skating at the speed you're terrified of. Fear is a terrifying beast. But it also invites you to block your limiting thoughts and embrace the fear. We all hear that voices, I'm not good enough, I don't dare to do that, I'm afraid, but that little voice shouldn't control your actions. No, embrace the fear and never negotiate with yourself, because our brains are a fantastic instrument, but they are not always in tune with our potential. I don't dare to do that, I'm afraid, I'm not good enough. It's just our brain that is not recognizing your vibe. And there is even more. In our modern society, we are no longer used to getting out of our comfort zone. Our lives have become so comfortable. We sit all day long. When it's cold, we turn on the heating. When it's hot, there is air conditioning, and there is always an abundance of food around for when we get hungry or thirsty. The result is that we have never been as lazy, fat, and weak as we are today. From an evolutionary point of view, this doesn't make sense. Always having comfort makes us lazy. We are no longer challenged anymore. And I don't want to be lazy, and I certainly don't want to be weak. I want to get the most out of my life. So I learned to stretch myself, to stimulate myself. Not only during exercises, but also in everyday life. And that was necessary, because at that time I didn't have a job and I didn't have a relationship. Let me explain. My story at VRT ended after 17 years. Yes, I've been making television for 20 years and suddenly I had to reinvent myself. It seemed as I have lost all my belief in myself and in my strength. And then I remembered the lessons I learned from the show, that life really does start at the end of your comfort zone. So I took a leap of faith. I became self-employed. I started my own business, and that means something in terms of getting out of your comfort zone, because becoming self-employed means paying taxes, doing your thing without any safety net. But I quickly came up against my limitations. Where usually the work used to come to me, I now had to look for clients and work myself. I didn't know nothing. I know nothing about marketing, branding, sales, accounting. Everything felt like a stretch, a painful stretch. But I could have chosen for a regular job, comfortable and out of the limelight, but I didn't went through Beat Me If You Can, only to forget all about the lessons I learned. So I kept pushing through. So I started to read, I exited my comfort zone again, and I started reading books about marketing, tunnels and funnels, not exactly my expertise, but I took the plunge to invest in my product, me. Yes, I started to spend money without money coming into expensive agencies, to web designers, social media experts. But most of all, I learned to ask for help. And that was new. Me, Saartje, the woman who has always stood her ground. Everyone knew me as a force of nature who was always taken on the world. I learned to ask, can you help me with this? I learned to let go of control and to completely surrender. And just when I thought, yes, I did everything, ticked all the boxes, now the work can come in, nothing happened. I remembered I was sitting with my hands in my hair, completely not knowing what else to do. But therein also lies the power of getting out of your comfort zone. Feeling that you're treading on thin ice and still believing that you're good enough to skate, that you skate well enough to get it to the other side. So I kept pushing through. Meanwhile, my love life has also been a very bumpy road with many red flags along the way. Addictions, narcissism, borderline, fear of commitment. Yeah, I went through it all. I could have read some books and do some research about toxic relationships, but as you probably guessed by now, this is not really my style. No. On the contrary, I went into the deep end, straight to where it hurts, in search for answers and figuring out why I had allowed all these emotional, unavailable men in my life. I did bodywork, family constellations, reconstructive therapy, hypnosis to address to the subconscious, and finally I resorted to plant medicine. Believe me, if there is one thing that draws you really out of your comfort zone, it's ayahuasca. Whether you believe in the beneficial healing properties or not, drinking ayahuasca will make you feel so uncomfortable that you think you're in hell. There were nights that I screamed, that I suffered and puked again. But with all those new acquired insights, I picked myself up and went back to work. I learned to trust men again. I opened my heart. I got to know my feminine energy, which introduced me in a complete softer version of myself, way out of my comfort zone, because I always used to be the tough guy with hair extensions. But that didn't mean that a tall, dark, handsome man immediately popped up at my door with a bouquet of flowers. No, of course not. I had to start dating online as a famous Flemish Persian, way out of my comfort zone. But I dealt with it. I swiped until my fingers hurt, until I had a match, some casual dating, and then a real life date. And oh, there it was again. Yeah. The resistance. I felt such a resistance, afraid that I would be disappointed again and again and again. Because sometimes I really had the feeling that I was shopping on a second-hand website. But I started to deal with my resistance. Yes, I forced myself to open up to new connections, which involves also second dates, in order to give someone a decent chance. I followed a course. How do I seduce a man? Yes, way out of my comfort zone. But you have no idea how good I've become at flirting. Yes, I even dated a balloon. Yes, I waffled on in French, completely out of my linguistic comfort zone. I bet I did that. But the question is, has all of this resulted in a breakthrough? That's, of course, what you want to know. The progress in my love life and in my business, of course. Well, let me tell you this. I have wonderful news. Yes. I'm dating now this guy. Bradley Cooper. Yeah. Okay, the truth is, he didn't reply to my email yet, but I'm sure this is just a matter of time. No, seriously, I have the most perfect relationship with myself. I don't need anyone to complete me. I enjoy my own company because I'm funny, smart, charming, intelligent. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm talking about self-love. Go and clean up your mess, your traumas, prioritize yourself. I stopped looking for the right person. I became the right person. And professionally, well, I help people to create a healthier lifestyle now with tons of energy. I became an expert in energy, in everything that's connected to energy. That's literally my core business. And as a self-employed professional, I have grown tremendously. I learned to actively look for clients. I started to network. I dealt with numbers and cash flows. And I shifted my mind from limited to limitless. Everything is possible. I no longer need a broadcast channel to tell my story because I have my own social media channels to tell my story. But let me ask you this. How many of you are afraid to change jobs because of fear of the unknown? How many of you are afraid to chase their dreams out of fear of the unknown? And how many of you stayed in a toxic relationship because they don't want to be alone? Well, let me tell you this. Go out of your comfort zone and your life will change for the better. But did I ever think, on the top of that iceberg, with my knees shaking, that this would be the result of facing my fears? Probably not. But when I look back at my journey, I know exactly why I put myself through all of this. Because the magic happens when your knees stop shaking. Thank you.